What do you think is them OST representative cultural symbol of the Kazakh people? Let's see what Shuak, a Chinese Kazakh student at University of Sydney, thinks.
So when it comes to the most representative symbol of Kazakh culture, I think it's definitely the yurt. It is not only the traditional dwelling, but also, embodies the nomadic lifestyle that has shaped Kazakh culture for centuries. Because I think living in a yurt actually has a very close connection to the nature, which is also the central to our way of living. And nowadays, we still have this scaled-down mini yurt in our home to display, just as a constant reminder of our roots. So I think to some extent, we still worship the way of living, even though we are all now living in the cities.
But today we are not talking about yurts. We are talking about something besides yurts, Kazakh food. The Kazakhs are considered a marginalized group in China due to their small population size and remote geographical location. Kazakh communities in China are facing a growing challenge, a disconnect between traditional physical experience-based knowledge and the abstract logic of modern schooling. According to Lassiter, the cooking style of ethnic cuisine is not just a difference in taste, but also a physical perceptual experience and cultural identity formed in learning to cook. For example, Kazakhs rely heavily on sensory judgment, especially touch, when fermenting food. As Lee observed, Kazakh traditional fermented dairy products such as kumis exhibit unique texture and aroma profiles. Sensory evaluation confirms that touch and consistency are critical indicators of fermentation progress. So this video is our response to the arguments in Mahboub's book, Writings on Subaltern Practice. Mahboub criticizes modern education for being too reliant on reading and listening and neglecting the role of other senses in learning. He argued that knowledge results from the integration between the material biological world, sensory contact, and the social symbolic world, linguistic interpretation. As Galifulaevna, 2015, pointed out, the symbolic system in Kazakh culture is highly stable. For example, the images of plants and animals not only carry emotions and functions, but also continuously transmit their core meanings through oral traditions. Eating is a taste experience, but also a cultural narrative. Kazakh food culture is a continuous process from sensory action to symbolic system and then to cultural inheritance. Individuals participate in the preparation and enjoyment of food through their senses. These physical experiences are embedded in specific rituals, languages, and symbolic meanings, forming a stable cultural symbol system. These symbols convey knowledge, carry geographical memory, and community emotions. Ultimately, it is through the repetition and narration of these meaningful sensory practices from generation to generation that the Kazakh people have been able to continue their culture to this day. Let's take a look at how traditional Kazakh cuisine is prepared and how it conveys cultural knowledge through sensory experiences.
Bossac. This is Bossac golden fried bread, beloved across Kazakh families. The dough begins soft and sticky. Hands press, fold, and roll it into small, round shapes. When dropped into hot oil, the surface sizzles and puffs up like rising bellies, full of air and warmth. The name Bossac is thought to come from bor, a Turkic root, meaning belly or kin. It's a word that holds both the shape of the food and the feeling it evokes, soft, puffy, and slightly sweet. Bossac is a comfort food, especially during family gatherings or festivals. When you tear it open, steam escapes. When you taste it, memories surface. This is how language grows from the body, not from a textbook, but from touch, from taste, and from tradition. As Mahboub reminds us, knowledge is built where the material and the symbolic meet where flour becomes meaning, and the fried shape becomes a story. Hamachai. This is Hamachai Kazakh. Milk tea brewed from fermented brick tea, mirrored with milk, salt, and a spoonful of butter, sometimes millet or dried milk. Skin is added for texture. The process begins slowly. Water is heated in an iron pot. Crushed tea bricks are stirred then milk is poured. Thick and white, salt is sprinkled, butter melts into swirling clouds of flavor. The aroma is unmistakable savory, smoky, rich. The taste? Creamy, salty, warming. It's a tea made for the steppe, for cold mornings and long rides. Ironically, Hamachai means green tea, but there's nothing green about it. This mismatch between name and flavor is not a mistake, it's memory, a trace of history, language, and adaptatio. When you hold the warm bowl, when your lips meet the salty foam, your body understands before your mind does. As Meiboop says, knowledge does not only come through words, it comes through warmth, scent, and sensation through the body's trust in traditio. Jent segment. This is Jent, a traditional Kazakh dessert made with roasted millet flour, sugar, butter, and often dried fruits or sheep tail fat. The process is earthy and physical. Millet is roasted until golden, then mixed with melted butter. The hands stir and press the warm paste, shaping it into firm, sweet blocks. It smells nutty, like toasted grains and warm childhood. The texture is soft and crumbly, almost like sand that melts on your tongue. The name Jent itself carries that feeling. It's a short, gentle word. It echoes the texture. Grainy, soft, subtle. Jent is more than a dessert. It's what grandmothers make for honored guests. It's what families prepare for noris, weddings, and homecomings. Each bite tells a story not through speech, but through touch, smell, and memory. Meiboop reminds us that real knowledge doesn't only come through reading or listening. It comes through doing, mixing, tasting, and remembering. In Jent, flour becomes feeling, dessert becomes discourse, and learning begins in the hands. These dishes Bossac, Hamachai, and Jent are more than recipes. They carry memories, names, and textures that live in the body. But when these foods come together, something even more powerful happens. During Noris, the Kazakh New Year, food becomes more than meaning, it becomes a living practice of knowledge, memory, and community. Noris marks the beginning of spring, a time of renewal and reunion. Every dish tells a story. Every bite recalls a memory. The table becomes a cultural text, read not with eyes, but with senses. Through sharing food, communities empower. Elders teach, children learn. Here, knowledge lives in practice. Identity is tasted, not just spoke. Noris reminds us that tradition is alive not in books, but in bodies, in meals, in moments.
As mentioned in the previous video, Nowruz food preparation is a classic example of community empowerment, PDA. Let's invite Shuak again to hear her views.
So regarding to one of my most vivid childhood memory is in the sense of unity and warmth within the Kazakh community, whether during the festivals like Nowruz or everyday moments spent with my grandparents. I would like to say that my grandparents are the most authentic living examples of traditional Kazakh culture, because one of the most common thing that they used to do to bound the people around us or the Kazakh community is to barter. They would love to exchange things like meals, cookeries, or desserts to help someone who's in need out, regardless of the price or the trouble it might bring. So whenever I recall this, it'll just remind me of the togetherness and the family, the friend, the neighbor, even sometimes the strangers will always support one another.
Such cultural practices are not only of great significance to the Kazakh people, but also provide the majority ethnic group with an opportunity to re-understand and acquire marginal knowledge. When Han participants enter the Nowruz festival, they are no longer just spectators, but begin to truly participate in this cultural narrative through taste, action, and communication. We have found in reality that many communities in China are actively exploring the possibility of cross-cultural sensory understanding and identity respect. According to news reports in Emin County, Tacheng Prefecture, Xinjiang, Ms. Ma Xinhua has turned her home into a national unity compound. She adopted a Kazakh orphan, and people of different ethnic groups celebrate the Nowruz festival together in her home.